everyone, it's Arielle from Japan Forward.
And it's Daniel from IGN Japan.
So we are here, very sunny day, and you can't tell that yesterday there was a major typhoon here at Fuji Rock 2019.
That's right.
Yeah, so yesterday, despite the rain, it didn't dampen the spirits of most festival goers, and we still went and saw a lot of bands, and so we want to do the roundup for yesterday, Saturday.
It dampened our clothes, but not
A
our
lot.
spirit. Yeah,
Indeed.
it dampened inside our boots, but not our spirit. That's important
Indeed.
to say.
Yeah.
So the typhoon came. The flooding was pretty harsh. Some stages were closed off. Some artists that were scheduled to perform could not perform. Some of the performances were cancelled, which kind of sucks. If you're someone who came to see that artist, that must be really. Well, actually, one of them I was going to see was Takeo Ishino, who was playing outside. On an outdoor stage, Ganban night stage, and the whole stage was completely closed off.
Oh, I see.
Due to
Okay.
flooding. So luckily he's playing again on the third day, Sunday. So that's okay for me. But
well, for those who want to see him,
not so good for him. Yeah.
There were other events that were cancelled as well. So there was a showing of Otoko wa Tsurai for the 10th anniversary of Otoko wa Tsurai being shown at Fuji Rock, but also this year happens to be the 50th anniversary of Otoko wa Tsurai.
It's a classic Japanese movie, yeah.
Yes,
very much beloved movie.
And it was going for a lot of years and is very popular amongst Japanese fans. And they were supposed to show it in an area that was right next to the river, but because it was so flooding that they just decided to close off the whole area, so it was cancelled.
And to be like this is like a sort of a stream, It's not, it shouldn't normally be a river. It's normally a nice little stream that people go paddling in with their shoes off, and it's really nice. But it was terrifying. It was, the water was like, higher than I've ever seen it come, right up to where the bridge is. And I was wondering if they were going to close off that whole half of the festival site, where the white stage, which is the second biggest stage, and about 4 or 5 other stages are all on that side. And I was wondering if that whole area would get closed off. I don't think it did in the end. But a lot of thoroughfares for sure, around the main stage, the green stage. There's an area that's full of like stools and things. So there's just a river. It's just like literally like a pond. So,
it was like going all the way up, and they had to close off the whole area. But enough of the rain. So what did we manage to see then?
What did we manage to see? Should we start from the beginning, from what we saw in the morning?
Yes.
Zuto mayonaka de ii no ni.
Yes.
Which translates roughly as, I wish it could be nighttime all the time.
Yes.
Only it was always nighttime, the middle of the night. Yeah, I know that feeling. I feel that.
Yeah, and it was very interesting name for a band, definitely. So what did you think?
Well, it was great. They're a band that's kind of really surrounded in a kind of a shroud of mystery. They don't do interviews. There are no photos of them on the internet. And all of their music videos are animated. So you don't get to see what the members look like. No one, doing some research online, people were unsure, are they a band? Is it a solo singer? Some of those questions were kind of answered, so they performed as a 6-piece band.
Yes.
I don't know whether those are all the regular band members or if it's, again, like a solo artist performing a live band. But certainly, they have a very kind of, as the name suggests, it's like a sort of a nighttime studio kind of, like a home recording studio kind of sound in a way.
Yes, I agree.
So seeing them perform on stage with like a full band with drums and really sort of brought those songs to life in a really nice way, I thought. They're also a band that has like a kind of it's sort of a fusion of kind of, it's J-pop.
Yes.
Heavily J-pop, but elements of jazz, elements of rock, sort of similar to a band like Sotai Seididon or Passe-Pied, which these are also bands that at the beginning of their career did not show their faces or anything like that. So they're sort of following a similar kind of path.
Very strong keyboard, like you can hear it like in the background. So definitely like the jazz influence, but as you say, like very upbeat most of the time and very J-pop. And, they're a very recent band as well, right?
Very recent. They formed, I think, last year.
I think it is,
2018. And sort of started putting their songs online with these animated videos, and very quickly started generating millions of hits on their videos. So literally every single one of their videos has surpassed like 1 million hits, I think. And they're really good.
Yeah, so saw them briefly, and then we also caught up with Glenn Spanky before the set that they did in the evening at 7 p.m.
Yeah, so Glimspanky is a two-piece rock band.
Yes.
Usually when they perform live, there is a four-piece. They have like a drummer and a bassist come and join them, join the two main members who are guitarists and guitar vocalists. And they play sort of mid-60s, early 70s style, Western style, sort of hippie-esque psychedelic rock music, but with this sort of Japanese twist to it. And a lot of the music of that time, like artists like the Beatles, were drawing these sort of Asian or Indian psychedelic kind of vibes and bringing them into their music. And so they do a similar kind of thing, which is quite cool.
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting when we talked to them that the vocalist was saying, it's not just about the music, it's about the culture associated with this music and so on. So I thought it was very much, trying to get influences from the 60s and 70s, but it's not just that. The way that they dress, and the way that they try to portray themselves, it's a whole package kind of thing.
So yesterday they performed an acoustic set.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know if it's their first time to do it, but it's certainly like a rare chance to see that. Yeah. And they were really good. Like, you call it an acoustic set. Actually, one of the the vocalist Matsuo, Remi Matsuo, she's playing an acoustic guitar and singing, but at the top of her lungs, mind you. She has very powerful lungs, sort of very raw, sort of rough, shredded kind of voice. Yeah. And then the guitarist Kamemoto Hiroki was playing just an electric guitar, like and then they were joined with a keyboard player who sometimes was playing like a piano-sounding keyboard and sometimes like a Rhodes kind of thing. And that was it. So there was no percussion or anything, which personally I thought it could have used a little bit of percussion, but it certainly they were able to kind of reinterpret their songs, which are usually very, very distortion-heavy and aggressive-sounding songs, into a more sort of a sound that's suitable for like a folk stage at a festival, which is basically what they were playing on. Yeah,
it was a much smaller venue than the Green Stage where they performed last year, correct?
Yeah, the Gypsy Avalon stage.
Yes, exactly. So you saw also another band in the afternoon.
Before so Glimspanky, we interviewed them, which is how we came into this, right, in the morning, and so that will be up at some point.
Yes,
on
so
Japan
make
Forward.
sure watch the space. Yes. So.
Sorry, yeah. Go ahead.
So you saw also another band in the afternoon. Always.
Always. I saw Always, which is spelled Alvvays, and I was not sure. Is it? I guess it's probably Always, and it's just the styling thing. But it could be Always,
Always.
But on stage, the singer said, "We're Always." So
okay.
Cleared up. I got that now.
Okay.
Yeah. They're a great band. Yeah. They their music is it's very it's like this sort of very bright, clear, pure sounding pop music, and the vocalist has this very, very sort of strong, pure voice, but it all comes through this like haze, like it's like you're sort of half dreaming the sound. Like, I find it really hard to focus when I'm on their music when I'm listening to it, and not I don't mean that in a bad way. It's sort of like imagination fuel, you know what I mean? It kind of comes sort of very softly into your ears, even though the melodies themselves are very strong, like pop melodies. But because the sound around it has a lot of like guitar wash and like chorus sound and that kind of thing, that it really just sort of, I don't know, washes over you and sort of washes out again, and sort of you drift away, and then before you realize it, you're halfway through the song.
Yes. It's always a good feeling, right? It's a bit, you want to remember what the song actually, what the melody is, but then at the same point it transports you in another place, I guess,
Yeah, they're a great band for listening to when you're walking around, sightseeing or walking around Tokyo or something like that, and you want to kind of half concentrate on what you're doing, but have some music that's not going to completely steal you away, but it's going to be like a really nice, calming kind of soundtrack. And they performed a cover of a song by the Breeders, Divine Hammer, which was pretty cool. I'm a big fan of the Breeders, and although the Breeders they're also a band actually that does have a sort of a dreamy kind of element to them, but also these very direct, pop melodies when they want to, and so it was a kind of like that. But then they sort of again it was like a more washed out version of that. So it was very, 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 very enjoyable.
Sounds amazing.
Who else did you see?
Well, in the evening we both saw Alice Fibidu.
Okay.
And that was it was I really liked her performance. She is originally from South Africa, but when she was 16, she came backpacking in Europe for the first time and sort of fell in love with Europe, I suppose. And so after she finished her studies, then she moved to Berlin to be a singer-songwriter.
Right.
And that's actually initially where I saw her, in Berlin. And then, so she initially was just busking in Berlin, so like all the music that she did was, you know, performing on the streets, and then she did a couple of hits that like got quite a few you know, views on YouTube, but she hadn't released anything official, if you will. But she released her first album in 2016, Orbit it's called, and then she released another album last year as well. She has this sort of folky, ethereal feel to her. It's a 4-piece band. It was good. I really liked it. I thought it fit well with the stage. It fit well with the sort of slightly apocalyptic like atmosphere of the rain and so on.
It was raining really hard when
at
she
that
played,
point. It was really, like properly sloshing it down.
Yeah. Well, we both of us really wanted to see her, so we just went out in it. But it was definitely not a dry, not a dry experience. I liked very much that her songs are kind of. It's kind of like songs about living, you know, songs about taking your life and living it the way you want to live it.
Yes, very much so.
I think sort of her experience of, you know, coming from one country and then going to another continent on the other side of the world and traveling around and finding her place in that way, you can kind of hear that sort of lust for life, you know what I mean, in her lyrics. There was a song, I don't know the song titles, I'm afraid. There was a song, the line, I want to take it, not leave it. Another song about how we're so small in the galaxy, but that's not a bad thing, you know, sort of just knowing that you're a microcosm in this bigger sort of tapestry. Also, the other thing I really like her is that her voice is like, it's gorgeous, but it's crazy as well.
Yes.
Right? Like she sort of goes into these sort of almost kind of like hiccuped kind of like howls at the end of the lines and that kind of thing.
Yes. Howl. Yeah, howl is the right word. But I think she also was, you know, she really engaged well with the audience in a sort of like very friendly way, and it was a fun, you know, it was a fun performance to see for sure. Yeah,
she's very sort of, she seems like a very sweet, cute person. Can you imagine, right, if you were walking through Berlin or wherever she was, and you saw that busking? That would be the luckiest day of your life.
Apparently, because I was actually introduced to her from a friend who lives in Berlin, and you know, this was before she kind of broke like her and released her album, and she was saying, oh, you know, because she's quite famous with Berliners, but like they kind of keep her as a sort of best kept secret of Berlin, because you know, everybody's kind of really likes her performances and stuff, but they wanted to say like local, that you can, you know, kind of more entrenched in the community as you were. But I guess, you know, she has to become famous too.
Definitely.
So you managed to catch anything like on the way?
So I was hoping to see some of Sia's set. Sia was the main headliner of the Green Stage, the biggest stage, on the Saturday night, second day of Fuji Rock. And I really like Sia. She's a very unusual. She on first glance she seems like a, you know, just your regular brightly packaged kind of pop singer. But actually, if you dig a little deeper, her songs are very, very unusual. And her sort of, I don't know, she has this sort of slightly askew stance, which I really like. And unfortunately, she was playing at the same time. Her set started at the same time as Alice Phoebe Lou.
Yes.
So my intention was, after Alice Phoebe Lou, to then go down and catch like a good sort of solid half hour at the end of her set. But there was so much rain and it took so long to just get through the site. By the time I got there, I caught the last two songs, which wasn't really enough to kind of judge, you know, how it was. But she had like a bunch of dancers on the stage, and they're all wearing. She has this very iconic sort of wig that's half white, half red, black, and she had a whole bunch of dancers, and everyone's in these wigs, and it's very hard to tell who's who. You know? And they were doing these quite cool kind of choreographed dances with a sort of a video background that sort of appeared to be showing like moving scenes in the background. So if you looked at it head on, it looked like they were elsewhere, you know what I mean? And so on the side of the stage, you then had screens with video cameras at the front that were sort of transmitting the live footage onto the screens. And so if you just looked at the screens, you would swear you were watching like a pop video. Like there's no way you would think that was like a live performance. But then you sort of glance at the stage and it's happening right there.
Yes.
That was really, really cool.
Yeah, I caught like a couple of songs as well from, you know, one venue to the next while I was kind of like making my way through the mud. But yeah, I thought the same. And she also sang while I was walking. I think it was an acoustic version of Chandelier. And so I think it kind of fit really well the atmosphere, because obviously that's like originally very like pop and like, you know, heavy song and sort of, but the one that she did was more sort of intimate and acoustic and you know, fit well with the fact that there weren't as many you know, people there as there would have been, I think, on a really, really sunny day. Sure. But yeah, I think, you know, as you said, like the visual experience, and you know, the green stage is always so visually overwhelming. I thought that performance was quite interesting, with the dancers and so on.
Very good.
Yeah.
So after that, you know, that's the way the Fuji Rock works, is that you have the sort of the headliner isn't actually the last band to perform at the festival. Usually, you know, at most festivals you have the headliner and then everyone goes home or goes to their tent or whatever. At Fuji Rock, the headliners finish maybe 11 p.m. or 10:30 p.m. And then after that, the whole nighttime festival starts, you know, and then it's all on again till 5 a.m. So after Sia, we went off to the Crystal Palace tent. They call it a tent. It's a big wooden structure, right?
Yeah, it looks like, well, from the inside it looks like the extension of a circus tent with with a bit of a pub feel to it, with like red lights and you know, colored glass and that sort of thing.
Like a sort of New Orleans kind of vibe, right?
And yeah, it's a great venue, and they were having music and then live performances as well. And one of the bands that played was actually called Sunnyside. 6 members to the band. Very sort of psychedelic jazz kind of. So, like, for example, they had a very good saxophone player, and everybody was really enjoying the vibe. And I think, you know, everybody was really excited to be there. It was a very, very good atmosphere to be in.
Cool.
What did you think?
I enjoyed it. By that time, I was soaked all the way through, and I hadn't like sat for like 6 hours, so I was quite happy to just sit down and listen. Yeah. But the certainly, you know, especially probably as an effect of the rain, the Crystal Palace was completely packed out with people. And when you have a band like that go on, it doesn't matter if people know them or not. They're such a kind of a, you know, like a party starter kind of band that people just went crazy. Yeah, it's just kind of like just people are happy to get out of the rain and just want to celebrate and enjoy. So yeah, they were definitely like, well, as kind of their name suggests, I'd say sort of sunny feel to the band, and it was fun to watch for sure. Cool. So today it's the last day of the festival. It's Sunday. Sad times. Sad times. Right now we're in the Pyramid Garden area, which is a really nice sort of very chilled out, family friendly area of the festival that has its own campsite. So we're going to go check out what's on offer today, and then tomorrow we'll come back with more, with our final day roundup. Yes. How does that sound? Yes, that sounds good. So yeah, make sure to keep watching the space for more videos and more articles and coverage on Fuji Rock Festival. This was Arielle from Japan Forward. And Daniel from IGN Japan. We'll catch you guys later. Cheers. Bye bye.